All right, guys. So in the morning, I pretty much always start with either a little bit of water or a little bit of coffee. So typically speaking, I'll have about two of these before 11:30 a.m. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. So I'm a fan of coffee. A lot of people aren't. I also like to drink yerba mate. If I had to pick between the two, if I had to pick one to drink for the rest of my life, I'd probably pick yerba mate. I just believe that personally it has a better nutritional profile, and the energy that you get from it is a little less. It's not as up and down, if you will. So again, huge fan of coffee, huge fan of yerba mate, but right now I'm drinking some coffee. So this will keep me good for hours, you guys. I've never really liked eating breakfast. I mean, I love the taste of breakfast. How can you go wrong with scrambled eggs and things of that nature? But, I just have never liked waking up and eating. I've never been the type of person that just wants to eat the minute I wake up. So I always like to hydrate myself. So coffee is a diuretic. So that's why I said at the beginning of the video, I'll either start my morning off with water or coffee. And throughout the day, I'm drinking plenty of water as well. So it's not like all I'm drinking is coffee. But getting liquids into your system in the morning, in my opinion, it gets my engine going much better than a bunch of solid food. So this is pretty much all I'm going to have for, the next hour. I'm going to get some editing done and I have a bunch of work to do. So I'm just going to get right to it. All right, guys. So it's a little before noon. And I'm going to have some raw eggs here in a little bit. As most of you guys know, eggs are a large part of my diet. They have been for over a year now. And I consume a lot of these eggs raw. I still do cook eggs, but I consume raw eggs much more frequently. This is pretty much my fuel that I consume throughout the day. I don't really like eating a lot during the day. And what I mean by that is I don't like eating a lot of big meals. And I don't really prefer to eat cooked food during the day at all. So if I get hungry, if I need some fuel, if I'm going to go, out in the yard and do yard work or anything like that, if I'm going to exert myself, I'll consume some raw eggs, some raw honey, or even a little bit of raw meat. But I rarely eat cooked food during the day. I just don't like the way it makes me feel. Later on in the evening, around 9 to 10:30 at night, that's when I'll have some cooked food if I am going to eat cooked food. As I've mentioned in the past, I'm kind of on a mixture of a raw primal diet mixed with cooked foods. So I'm loosely following in the steps of Agenus Vonderplanitz, but in no way, shape, or form am I doing that diet entirely. I'm not just consuming raw animal foods. For one, I can't currently afford that. Raw animal products that are high quality are not cheap. So right now I'm incorporating, cooked rice, gluten-free grains and starches, things like potatoes, things like quinoa, some bulk kind of filler to keep me full and that's cost effective. So my diet system that I've put together over the last there's been so much trial and error in the last 10 years of my life, but in the last year and a quarter, I've really taken everything that I've learned and I've funneled it into a very workable system for anyone and everyone who's interested in getting healthy. And this system just revolves around real food. You stay away from the vegetable oils, you stay away from the gluten, you increase your intake of healthy fats from animal foods, you increase your intake of antioxidants to, take the burden off your body after years of exposing it to chronic oxidative stress and oxidative damage. So a lot of us have lived lives that are suboptimal and that have caused a lot of stress and damage to our bodies. So this system that I've put together, it allows you to exclude all the bad foods and eat all the right foods that do not put that toxic burden on your body so that you can recover. So we'll talk more about that in the near future. If you're interested in the 70-30 split diet that I've put together, check out the links in the description box below. The 70-30 split is a starting system for people who need to wean themselves off of junk food. 70% real food, 30% whatever you want, and then you work your way up to the 80-20 split, the 90-10 split, and then you get on to what I'm on, which is the 100 system. Nothing but real foods. But there's an emphasis here on the removal of gluten from your diet and the removal of vegetable oils, corn syrup, and all the bullshit. We're getting on a real food diet, the type of diet that our ancestors followed naturally. So you got to think, you guys, if the grid were to go down, if some type of thing of that nature were to happen, you would immediately, your animal instincts would kick in and you'd go back to eating animal products and, farming and living off the land. Enough of this bullshit where we're dependent on all these insane ass companies. So again, raw eggs, you guys. If I am going to have a cooked egg during the day, which is somewhat rare, I'll make them soft boiled. And maybe I'll show you guys how I do that in the near future. I just use my electric tea kettle with some salt and some water. But eggs are really special, you guys, especially when they're consumed raw, because the fats are more bioavailable to the human body. And that's why if you're going to consume them raw, you want to consume them soft boiled. And if you are going to cook them on low with butter only. Never use margarine, never use oil. I don't care how fancy the vegetable oil is. Most of that stuff is all marketing. They're rancid and they're oxidized by the time you consume them. So eggs are special primarily, you guys, because of the healthy cholesterol, which is great for the brain. They're full of healthy fats and they have some folate in there, and they're relatively high in iodine and selenium. There's a small amount of zinc in eggs. There's some niacin, some B12, a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of vitamin E, and there's calcium in eggs, a tiny bit of vitamin D, and there's some vitamin A, some biotin as well. But the selenium content and the iodine content is what makes eggs truly special, in my opinion. So again, I'll consume probably 2 to 8 raw eggs a day, depending on what I'm doing. If they were refrigerated, what I'll do is about 45 minutes to an hour before I eat these, I will leave them out so they reach room temperature so it doesn't shock my gut when they go into my system. I'll crack these into a chalice of sorts. I'll show you guys. Crack these into a chalice, and here, let me just show you. Let's have some raw eggs, you guys. So we'll just start the day off, or I'll let those sit for about 20 minutes, and then around noon we'll have some raw eggs. So there you go. When I consume these, I bite the yolk, break it all up, and swallow it. If you just swallow raw eggs whole, they're not going to digest all that well. So just a brief little tip. We've got a beautiful lemon tree and a gigantic lime tree out front here in California. So what I like to do a lot is I'll put lime or lemon on pretty much all the food that I eat. Not all of it, but for the most part, anything cooked, I love having lime or lemon juice on it, preferably the lemon juice. So because we have such an abundance of both of these antioxidant filled citrus fruits, what I like to do is I'll cut these up. First things first, I'll just cut them in half. And I'm not going to take all the seeds out. These lemons are just full of seeds. The limes don't really have... I've never actually seen a seed in the limes that we have out front, which makes it a little bit easier to make these lemon potions or lime potions or citrus potions, excuse me. So what I'll do is I'll just take these lemons. I'll let the seeds fall in there. I'm going to put ice in this later and use a straw, so it's not like I'm going to get the seeds in my mouth. And then I'll just take the whole peel and throw it in there as well. I like lemon a lot. I like the tart flavor of it. And what's nice about these homegrown lemons is although they do have some tartness, they're nowhere near as tart and offensive as store-bought lemons. I only really like consuming homegrown fruit and homegrown vegetation You know, I do my best to consume as much of it as possible, and I probably consume a hell of a lot more homegrown food than most people. I've been very lucky to have a family that loves to garden, myself included. So again, and usually, you know, you guys, this is so high in antioxidants, lemons, and because there is so much oxidative stress going on within our bodies, I like to just double the recipe up. Sometimes I'll even triple this, as crazy as that sounds. I'll put all the juice in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit, until it gets cold, and then I'll serve it over ice. And sometimes, you know, if it's a little too strong, what you can do, once you let it steep for a while, what you can do is you can just pour a little bit into a cup and then fill the rest up with water. So I'm going to put a bisphenol A free lid on this, a plastic lid, and put that in the refrigerator for a while. But this is a great way to get antioxidants into your system, you guys, in liquid form. Lemon water. Lime water is just as good. In fact, it tastes a little bit better in my opinion, but I prefer the lemons. I just do. I feel like I get more out of the lemons. This is supplemental ascorbic acid, also known as vitamin C, and these tablets have a little bit of a citrus bioflavonoid complex in them as well. Each of these tablets are a gram or 1,000 milligrams, and I take 1 to 2, sometimes more of these a day. Most people typically feel comfortable at about 1,000 milligrams, but after looking into the research of Linus Pauling, Abram Hoffer, and a handful of others, I take a little bit more than 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C when I take it. And I take my vitamin C when I drink my lemon potion that I just showed you that I made. So I also, you guys, will cycle between taking supplemental ascorbic acid, also known as vitamin C, and whole foods vitamin C. So sometimes I'll just take a big spoonful of camu, which is really high in vitamin C, or kaduku plum, or kakadu plum. I can't remember how you pronounce that, but I believe that's the highest source of natural vitamin C, is kakadu plum, I think it's called. Or I'll take a whole foods vitamin C complex that has things like acerola cherry, or, you know, again, amla, Indian gooseberry, camu, lemon peel, you name it. So there are alternatives to supplemental vitamin C, also known as ascorbic acid. I am a huge fan of this particular form of vitamin C. However, it's cheap, it's effective. There are so many benefits from taking 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. Look into the research of Linus Pauling, look into the research of Dr. Abram Hoffer. But I'm just going to show you guys, again, I'll take both of these today when I have my lemon water. Alright guys, so it's a little past noon. Now in this video I'm not going to share with you my entire supplement regimen, but I am about to take 600 milligrams of NAC. This helps your body produce glutathione, which is a master antioxidant. So just to be transparent with you and show you what I'm doing, I'm going to take some NAC right now. Alright guys, so it's about 1:50 right now, p.m., and I've got all of this really nice, expensive, grass-fed top sirloin, and I'm going to cut some of this. I'm not going to consume all of this, but I'm going to probably consume about half of this, and I'm going to eat this raw. So as I said earlier, during the day, I try not to eat cooked food. I try to put a huge emphasis on raw food, whether it be raw animal products, raw vegetables, raw sprouts, raw fruits, you name it. So one thing I just wanted to say is that I'm not recommending or suggesting that you do this. I'm just telling you what works for me and what continues to work for me. The way that raw meat digests is remarkable in comparison to when you cook it. Cooked meat does not move through your system efficiently, and it does not satiate you the way that raw meat does. Raw meat will satiate me for hours, to the point where I don't even think about eating. It completely shuts off those hunger hormones, those hunger mechanisms, and it just fuels you remarkably well. But raw meat, you have to be very careful with it. You need strong stomach acid, which is why I suggest you increase your sea salt intake. Get off the gluten so that you can actually absorb foods too once they get into your small intestine. Get the fuck off the gluten. Get on real food, you guys. But if you're going to be consuming raw meat, you better do your damn well best to source good quality products. Nothing with hormones, antibiotics, or vaccines in it. Try to find a local rancher, farmer in your neighborhood, and start supporting people who produce real high quality food. No more big agriculture or factory farming or all this other nonsense. So I'm going to chop probably half of this into little cubes and eat it. And people ask me, how do you eat anything with your raw meat? I try not to, but usually I'll have, if I do have anything with it, I'll have a small piece of like cheddar or sharp cheese, just to kind of offset the taste, or I'll have a little bit of honey. Honey is full of enzymes. It's good for digestion. This is really high quality honey. I don't know if you guys watched my last What I Eat in a Day video, but I got 5 of these for less than $6. These were $13 or $14.99, and they were marked down at Sprouts because no one was buying these. They were 99 cents a piece. This is a glyphosate residue-free, fair trade for life, non-organic or non-GMO project in USDA organic. And this is kind of a weird tasting earthy honey, but I like it. A lot of people are used to all the fake honey, which is filled full of corn syrup. That's another thing you guys should get the hell off of. If you want to get healthy, get rid of corn syrup. Get rid of processed canned garbage, all the stuff that comes in boxes. Get rid of the gluten and get rid of the vegetable oils, and watch your health skyrocket. So this is about how much I'll eat today in terms of raw meat. Again, this is top sirloin, grass-fed. And I've also got here, you guys, a piece of brie. It almost looks blue because my light's on my camera, but that's not blue, it's white. So if you can't stomach raw meat, adding cheese can really help because you can take a bite and then take a little bit of cheese. I can stomach it without the cheese, but we have all this really nice expensive brie here and I need to use it. I don't like to waste food. So, and I also have this beautiful plate. One thing you guys should do, or just a little tip, if you really want to make your consumption special, because eating is a ritual, folks, it's what fuels your body, consider getting a unique plate where you eat all your food on. This helps you ritualize the experience and it just makes it more unique. So until I eat dinner tonight, I'm probably just going to have some Schizandra. I'll have a handful of Schizandra. I'll drink my lemon water. And I'm going to take 2 grams of ascorbic acid with this when I take this. Again, supplemental vitamin C. I showed you guys that earlier. I'll have some honey if I get hungry. And I've got these 2 different honeys. This is definitely the better of the 2 in my opinion. This tastes a little bit better though, so I like to mix it up. So honey has become a staple of mine. People have asked me, hey, what are you eating now? Blah, blah, blah. What are your staples? Honey, raw animal products, raw eggs, stuff like this, antioxidant potions. I consume a lot of Schizandra. I consume some different antioxidant supplements that I'll share with you guys in the future. I eat rice. I eat beans. They're cheap. If I could afford to, I would probably eat the majority of my calories from raw animal products and really high quality raw fruit and vegetables. But you know how it is here in the Matrix. You know how it is, especially now here in 2021. Things are a little bit tougher than they used to be. And when finances are low, you've got to do the best that you can. So eggs, honey, rice, beans, specific animal products, medicinal mushrooms, cordyceps, reishi, etc. These are some of my staples, but that in no way, shape, or form encapsulates all of it. We'll talk more about it in the future. I don't want to make this too long, you guys. So long story short, oh, and you know what? Earlier I had a little bit of cream. I had 2 little cups of raw cream. I'll show you guys what that looks like on the screen right now. But until dinner, this is what I'm going to have. I'll also probably have a little bit of coffee. I'm not 100% sure about that though. You can even add a little bit of honey to the lemon water, but I prefer it plain. I don't really like drinking things sweetened, even if they are sweetened with good quality sweeteners. What I do is I usually just take a tablespoon to 2 or 3 tablespoons of honey at a time, and that usually keeps me going for quite a while. So that's pretty much it. Pretty basic and not all that exciting, guys.
All right, you guys. So, just like pretty much every day of my life, I take some magnesium, and this is the magnesium product that I advocate. You know, there's some more expensive magnesium complexes on the market, but for the cost, this is excellent. And I try to do things in a way so that people can afford these supplements. A lot of the stuff that people are promoting, a lot of these health teachers, etc., the shit's expensive as hell. So I like to provide cheap solutions, and then if you can afford the better ones, go for that. But this is a mixture of magnesium citrate and a couple of other forms of magnesium. It's got some magnesium glycinate, some magnesium malate, etc. in it. So this is a 30-day supply if you take 1 serving a day. Typically speaking, I take 1 to 2 servings a day. So this is the Source Naturals Ultra Mag. I'm not going to take this right now. I'm going to take this closer to bedtime, but I just wanted to share this with you guys. I'm actually almost out of this bottle. So this, I believe I have this in my Amazon store. You can buy this. I believe iherb.com has this for cheap. You can buy it in bulk. This is only 60 tablets. Next time I'm going to load up on a bigger bottle, but this was on sale at my local health food store. I would say the best place to buy supplements is on iherb.com. There is, I've bought stuff on Amazon before that turned out not being real. So I do have an Amazon store, but I always list things that are sold directly from Amazon. That way you're getting a legitimate product, but there's a lot of like third-party sellers on there that, in my opinion, I've gotten some supplements before where it looked like things were rebottled, you name it. So when it comes to supplements, I like to know that what I'm getting is a high-quality product, and that's why I suggest places like iHerb, and there's a few other outlets like Swanson Vitamins is good. Just a brief little tip, you guys. This is the Ultra Mag by Source Naturals.
All right, guys. So it's a little after 5. The sun's going down, and I had, I think, 1 or 2 extra raw eggs. I can't remember. I should have recorded it and showed you. And I had some honey. So I had probably 2 or 3 tablespoons of honey today, and I'm doing just fine. I'm probably not going to eat dinner tonight until around 7, between 7 and 10. I tend to like to eat a lot later in the night. It's just something that my body seems to do better on. And I know that goes against all conventional wisdom and whatnot, or knowledge about health, but that's just how my body works. I find that I do best being really active during the day and kind of just eating raw foods, whether it be vegetables, animal products, you name it, and then at night, that's what I'll imbibe in my my main meal, if you want to call it that. So a mixture of raw foods throughout the day, sometimes some cooked, but very rarely, but a mixture of raw foods primarily, and nutraceuticals, supplements, vitamins, and things of that nature. That's really what makes up the bulk of my day from a nutrition standpoint. And then when the sun goes down, that's really when I start to get actually hungry. So more often than not, when I'm consuming raw animal foods or raw vegetation, fruit, etc., honey throughout the day, I'm doing that to fuel my body. Sometimes I'll go without it, and sometimes I'll just fast the entire day on water, maybe some coffee in there as well, or some green juice, potato juice, you name it. But lately I've wanted to, or intuitively I've felt the need to just add a little bit more calories. Even when I don't actually want it, I've just felt the need to put more in my system, just to get more out of my day and to really maximize my my energy levels. But sometimes just going on water or lemon water and coffee throughout the entire day, I do fine. I have plenty of energy, you name it. So again, I don't want to get too lengthy in this segment. I'm just out here with Luna doing my daily grounding. I do a minimum of 15 minutes a day, or at least I try. Sometimes there's days where you miss your goals, but for the most part, you guys, 15 minutes a day minimum of grounding. It's going to reduce inflammation. It has an antioxidant effect on your entire system. You just feel much better when you ground yourself. So what I like to do is I like to end my day with grounding. Sometimes I'll start my day with grounding, but more often than not, I'll end my day with grounding, because it really kind of just allows me to absorb just all of my day's work and kind of just make peace with wrapping my day up, so to speak. So the majority of my day is I'm very busy, regardless of what it is I'm doing. And then when the sun goes down, that's when I kind of enter into I don't want to call it rest mode, but there's such a shift in consciousness from the day to night. I prefer the night. I prefer actually living a nocturnal lifestyle, and I've talked about that in the past, but right now I cannot afford to do that. But in the future, I will do that primarily. There's so many benefits to being nocturnal.
that again goes against conventional wisdom, if you even want to call it that. Conventional knowledge is not wisdom, so we shouldn't mix the two up. The way that the system operates is totally backwards, and that's based on the system's rational, logic and all the other bullshit. Rationality, according to the system standards, is you just agreeing with them. It's not rational. It's far from rational. So, again, you guys, sun's going down, letting a little bit of light into my eyes. I'm grounded. It feels great. Might do some visualization work here in a few, but yeah, I don't know, you guys. I don't like eating a lot of calories during the day. And the calories that I do eat during the day, I like them to digest really well, and that's why I always try to resort to either fasting during the day or just consuming raw food, whether it be vegetables, fruit, berries, whatever, or raw animal foods, organs, eggs primarily. Raw eggs are like a staple of mine because they're cheap. They're really cheap, and you can get high quality eggs from people in your neighborhood. Reach out and ask around, go on Craigslist. A lot of people have really good quality eggs that are not conventional and part of the whole factory farming mess. So again, what about you? What do you guys do? Do you guys like it's a drone right above me. Do you guys like eating a bunch of calories during the day? Or do you like doing what I do, kind of just fill up the tank at night, so to speak?